All right, here we go. Touré, welcome to VladTV.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, man, big fan. This is
Hey,
one of the hip hop OGs in the interview game right here.
thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's interesting because I was watching your Breakfast Club interview, and it was interesting to hear an interviewer talking about interviewing.
Right,
That's something that you don't usually see. And
right.
like the art behind it and the decisions you have to make and the repercussions of questions you ask and so forth. So as a fellow interviewer, I found that very interesting.
Yeah, it kills me when I see people come in and I have my 10 questions and I just ask them. And I'm like, but the person is saying things that clearly must change the conversation. I try to memorize the general conversation that I want to have, general questions that I want to go into. But then you're listening, right? About what is the person saying and where are they sort of saying they want the flow to go? And it has to be a dance and a conversation between the two of you.
No, absolutely. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, Maddie C, originally from
Yeah.
the Source.
Yeah, Maddie C was big at the Source when I was first starting at the Source, and he's definitely OG. I mean, does the young generation know Maddie C is the reason why Biggie got signed? Do they
Right.
remember that? That he had Biggie and Unsigned Hype, and Puffy was like, "Yo, that was incredible," and he went out and signed Big off of seeing him in Unsigned Hype.
Right. Unsigned Hype is kind of like, for people that don't know, is the double XL freshman issue on
Yeah.
steroids. Where the big difference is that if you're on the double XL freshman cover, you'll have a buzz and people will be checking for you. But if you were an Unsigned Hype, it guaranteed you a major label record deal.
Yeah, yeah. Then those early years, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Matty C was the one of the two guys behind it.
Yep.
And actually, what he told me recently, which I never knew, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Biggie line. Remember that famous freestyle with him and Tupac?
Yeah.
The live at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
When he says "Peace to Mateo,"
Yeah.
now I smoke blunts like Tony Montana
Yeah.
sniffed the yayo.
Yeah.
That's Matty's real name, Mateo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about Matty C, Mateo.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I just found that out. You know what's interesting about my conversation with him was that we talked about journalism in hip hop and journalism versus PR. And he felt that the Source kind of started and kind of blurred the lines between the two,
Yeah.
where it was more of a PR kind of stance.
Yeah.
Where you're friends with the people you're interviewing and you don't want to say anything bad about them, you want to help them promote their albums, so you don't ask the hard questions, which I think to this day hip hop journalism is still at that point.
Yeah, it's tricky because, you're in business with these folks. As you know, there's a certain number of labels. If you should offend somebody at one label, that may poison your relationship with 5, 6 artists at the label, and it may make it really hard to do your job. I know at Rolling Stone, we were hardcore. We had to ask the difficult question. You got arrested. We have to talk about it. Your mom kicked you out. We have to talk about it. And we handled it in a very journalistic way. And it was never we can't discuss that. We have to, just even with the Migos cover that I just did, they sent me back in early January, call Offset and ask him about the reports of him cheating on Cardi. And I'm like, I don't want to ask this 26-year-old about his sex life. I don't want to do that, but that's journalism. That's what we have to do. When I was at BET, it was much trickier because they really relied on a very small pool of urban artists. So if the artist wasn't happy, that was a big problem for the business model. So they were not having that. They didn't want to do anything that would make the artist unhappy. For example, my R. Kelly interview at BET aired once because he called as soon as it ran. Oh my God, never run that again. And they're okay. It got massive ratings. And they were like, sure, we'll put this on the shelf because we don't want to screw up our relationship with you, R. Kelly. Who, I mean, but that's where you're getting into promotion, and are we effectively promoting you rather than doing journalism? And, yeah, look, there's a great value to being friendly with the artists and getting those responses that you get when the person is like, feels very cool with you, right? And they like you and they feel very comfortable with you. But if you're taking that into the realm of, I'm not going to say the hard, real things because I like you and I want to keep your friendship, then I think you're kind of selling out as a journalist.
Yeah, I mean, we get all types of grief over the type of questions we ask.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Aren't you a cop or don't you work for the FBI or something?
VladTV the feds, VladTV the police. This is on social media thousands of times a day. And we're cool with that, man. I feel like we're one of the few investigative journalists in hip hop.
I remember after Pac died, hip hop media did its thing, memorializing him or what have you. And then I think it was about 6 months after he died, I believe the name was Anita Samuels, if the memory serves, in the New Yorker, wrote a fantastic, real journalistic piece about Pac and his end. And I was like, she just embarrassed all of us. She just wrote a serious, real, reported piece on what's really good with Pac and not just like, oh, he was so great. And I'm like, that I respect. And that I want to go more toward rather than let me help you sell your album.